If you, like me, enjoy 4X games, 4X stands for exploit, exterminate, expand, and explore. I always forget the fourth one because it depends on the order I list them. But in any case, these are very nice games that go all the way from sci-fi to ancient civilization, Clash of Culture, Twilight Imperium, Eclipse, and all these games that have this epic build-up where you build your civilization, you have tech trees, you have build-up of technologies and power and accumulating strength and armies, and then you have conflict as well, exploration, and all the X's of a 4X game. The downside of these games, I'm a huge fan of those games, and I own most of them, if not all of them. The downside of these games is that they sometimes last too long. So I found myself recently in the market of looking for games, 4X games, that also play in a limited amount of time, meaning they don't go for the 4, 5, 6 hours that typically a game like that plays. Don't get me wrong, I always enjoy it, I continue playing them, but I don't have 4 or 5 or 6 hours to play such a game, and even if I had myself my gaming group, that doesn't always have the same free time with me at the same time, I mean. So 4X games that play in a relatively small time are in my focus, and I think are in the focus of a lot of gamers like me nowadays. So this new game that's hitting crowdfunding from Arcona Games is definitely one you should check out. First of all, because it uses a very streamlined action programming system, as I said, which is used already in Small Samurai Empires. A fantastic action programming mechanism where players set up orders around their different areas, continents, where they're going to execute them, then in turn, and then there's a second round where you're going to duplicate your first execution and then add the second order in some of the areas. And the hidden thing here, or the gem here, is that you will execute the order in the continent where you have programmed to execute it. And of course, this happens in real time. You don't know the plans of the other players, you guess what they're trying to do, you're also trying to scratch and grab some of the area control there, and the resource production territories as well. All this in a nice, compact, conflict and relatively fast timeline, meaning that it lasts only 1 to 2 hours depending on the number of players. So I'm going to show you how the game plays. I'm going to explain all the rules. I'm going to add the links in the description of the video below with timestamps to jump fast into the different sections of the rules, and also to go for my final opinion and wrap up at the end of the game. And I'm going to be very detailed and scholastic, so you can see specific sections of the rules, how they work. It's a very easy game to get behind, very easy game to understand, or even to put out of the shelf if you haven't played it for several days or months, because it has easy rule set. But on the same time, it comes in a compact box, it has streamlined rules, it has a lot of tension, it has all of the conflict, the exploration, the exploiting that you would expect from those type of games, in a very nice ancient empire theme and setting. So check the link in the video of the description below to find out more about the preview page. It's launching soon on crowdfunding, on GameFound, seeking support. Arcona Games is systematically delivering fantastic games one after the other. I love everything they put out and I really enjoy them, and this is no exception. I'm already giving my first impressions right up ahead. I really enjoyed this game, and I do really enjoy 4X games, so that says a lot for me. Because I have very high standards. So join me at the table, I'll show you how the game plays, and we'll come back at the end of this video for my final wrap-up and first impressions after the couple of first sessions I have the game. I also have a prototype detailed unboxing video where you can find out more on the components. Again, this is advanced prototype, so make sure to follow the campaign to find out more about stretch goals, changes in production and quality material. Even though it looks great, it's a prototype. And also I'm going to have a separate solo playthrough where you can see how the game plays solo with a different additional set of solo rules and some automa cards. So let's see first of all how the multiplayer game of Ancient Empires plays. Ancient Empires is an action programming area-controlled civilization game of expansion, conquest, and cunning decisions. In just a small box, it packs the feel of an epic empire-building experience. So, let's familiarize ourselves first with the components of this advanced prototype. It's a prototype still, so a lot of things are going to change possibly, so keep that in mind. I've done a separate unboxing video for the prototype where you can focus on the components, but now let's see what's in front of us in terms of components themselves and list them. First of all, we have one map board. You see it already set up for explaining how the game plays later on. This is two-sided. It has different orientation and different setup of more islands from the back side. These essentially are the continents. These two large are continents, and the two options, the sides of the main board, give replayability, of course. We have 4 player screens. Just to show you one of them, it has the color of the banner of the player, so this is for the yellow player, and inside you can find a very useful actions overview, which may be trivial after a couple of turns, but still it's very useful to familiarize oneself with the actions on the programming action tokens. And also here you can find what about scoring and how you improve when you choose a building with the improvements. The next thing that we see is 4-player resource track boards. So essentially these are these boards here, here, and here. Each of those has, as you can see, slots, first of all, for the civilization, which you're going to select from age era 2 forward. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to be given 2 civilizations out of this civilization deck. Okay, so you will be able to see them, but you will not select a civilization. You're going to do it in era 2. Okay, and this is going to give you immediately an ability, an instant reward, and an ongoing ability, and potentially some VP scoring opportunities for the end. For example, this is 2 civilizations. Each of the players has 2. They're not selected. I mean, I placed them in the slot on top of the player board for the resource tracker, where they're going once they're selected until era age 2. You just set them aside and you're going to select them when you move to the second era. Speaking of eras, we're going to explain how this goes, but each session has 3 ages, 3 eras, as I called, and each of those has 2 rounds for a total of 6 rounds for the course of the game. So each player is going to take one of those, and they're going to also take one of each of the resources that are being tracked on this board, okay, for tracking resources. Just to namely mention, we have different resource markers, 5 for player, okay, for food, for material, ideas, and so on, glory, and they are tracked on, from 0 to 5. Everything is limited up to 5 with the exception of the glory. We'll see how this works later on. There is the end of age scoring and the end of game scoring summary at the bottom, and here is the slot for your civilization card that I mentioned before, and there are 5 slots for improvements technologies, as they're called, that they go one here, one here, one here, the 4th and the 5th. Also, you can see that they are printed lightly, the colors for the starting spots for the course of the game, which is very convenient for these resources. Okay, cool. Then moving to the next component, this is the scoreboard that you can see here. Okay, here it has the turn order, which is reassessed at the end of each era again, each round, and then we have markers at the bottom starting to go up on this score track to indicate how many points you are collecting through the course of the game, and for final scoring as well. There is also one pillars board, which is this board here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars with their specific icons, which is all the way from culture to military and so on. We'll discuss this later, because these icons also appear on a lot of different things, like for example the technology cards here. You see they're linked with these pillars, and the players go up on these tracks from various actions in the game, as we'll explain later, gaining bonuses and opportunities as well. There are also 3 influence boards that you see. This is an influence board, okay. There are 3 of those, and they go around the main board, the circular main board, and then you're going to randomly select a city-state for a city-state and place it on each of those influence boards. Each player is going to place, this is part of the setup, but just mentioning, one cube at the beginning of their influence for each of those city-states, and each of those is next to each continent. So this is one continent with their influence board and city-state. This is a second one here, and this is a third one here. Next, so therefore there are several city-state cards, as I mentioned before, okay, and you just select randomly one for each of the 3 slots in the influence tracks boards around the main board. We have 20 technology cards, and there is an offer of technology cards here with 5 open cards at any given time. These are different technologies that they cost ideas for the player to gain. They gain steps up on the different pillars and different abilities and bonuses as well. More on that later, just to show you how they look like. And these are the technology cards. Right, then we have the wonders. Wonders do not come into play on during age 1, okay. They become available for you to see during age 2, so that they can be built later, moving onwards. More on that later, okay. So there is none available during the first age out of the 3 of the game. Remember, each age has 2 rounds. Then we have 52 player order tokens in the 4 player colors, 13 per color, 13 per player, okay. So for example, you can see here, we're going to explain all of these. These are orders that you give, you keep them hidden, and you place them around. This is a very nice mechanism, by the way, you'll see it later, around these circular slots in the board, and this affects this continent. If you place it here, it affects this continent, and so on. And it's showing where you're going to take the different actions during this action programming, hidden action programming step of the game, which is fantastic. We've seen it also in Small Samurai Empires, which is a fantastic game. Here it's embedded in this mechanism is embedded in this really nice, fast playing and very interesting 4X game from Arcona Games. I really love this mechanism, and I like how it expands in the course of the game. Then we have also 12 neutral action tokens, okay. These are neutral action tokens that you have also printed around the slots as a bonus action for selecting the slot, not executing the order. More on that later. We have food production tokens, material production tokens. As I said, the yellow is the gold production token. We have 4 capital markers. For the first time a player establishes a settlement in one of the continents, they're going to place this next to their settlement, the first settlement, which is going to be their capital. We have also, as I said, food production, material production, and gold production, not only as trackers for your resource boards, here, here, and here. You also have them as tokens there up, so they can be placed by various things on the board, besides the ones that are pre-printed. For example, this is a printed food production token, meaning if you have a standing army there, you can order it through order to collect a resource of that type. More of that later. We also have the direction marker. This is this arrow here, which starts at this spot, and it changes direction in the course of the game in the second round of each era, and then moves forward as well in the next bicolor slot, and then in the next bicolor slot. We have 64 army population meeples, 16 per player. Each player has their own nice cute little army population tokens, and each player is going to start with 2 of their own in each of the starting locations, 1 in each of the continents, okay, which they have this icon here, like a group of huts or a village. Then we have 24 settlement meeples, 6 per players. These are these nice settlement custom meeples, which they stand out when you build them, okay, on the board. And the good thing about that is they need to stand out because we also have 40 improvements, 8 of each type, which are this nice mosaic that I built here. We're going to explain how these work, and you can have a specific amount of improvements next to each of those settlements. You can only have 1 settlement per territory, so you cannot have a second one here. So You're not going to mix with other settlements, or so from yours or other players. And then you also have a specific amount of like plugin improvements, which give you special bonuses and also improve your settlement. We have 20 pillar cubes, 5 per player. These are used primarily in the different influence boards. You place one of your cubes at the starting slot of each of the influence tracks, so that you can track your influence with this city-state. There are also discs for turn order, for scoring, and for tracking the progress on each of the pillars. And on top of that, we also have the additional bits and pieces here and there. But that's in a nutshell, the majority of the components of the advanced prototype of the game. In ancient empires, players lead tribes that rise as civilizations, seeking to expand the influence and forge the greatest empire of the ancient world. To achieve this, players will build settlements, move across continents to secure dominance, and harvest resources to grow their armies, wage battles to seize control, and develop the settlements to anchor their power. Ancient Empires is an action programming area control strategy board game for 1 to 4 players, and this is the objective of the game. At the end of the game, the players with the most points is crowned the eternal ruler of the ancient empires. Now, let's focus on the setup of the game. First of all, as I said, we choose one side of the map board and place it on the table. This is the recommended side for your first game. For the first game, it's recommended to use the side with the two 1 and 1, 2, the two large continents. After you had a couple of sessions with this side, you can of course try the opposite side of the main board as well. Then we place the pillars board near the map, and we ensure to place one disc from each player at the bottom of each of those pillars. There are 5 in total and linked with different categories. We'll come back to that later. We also place nearby the scoring board and make sure to place at the bottom of the scoring board one disc from each player participating in the game. And we also place here on the turn sequence for first, second, third and fourth player, which is fluctuating through the course of the game from round to round, more on that later, we place one disc from each player. The last player to have visited an ancient site is the first player, or we can pick one at random. They will place the disc in the first place of the turn track on the scoreboard, and in clockwise order the rest of the players will place a disc to form the starting player order as you see it in front of you, over here, that is. Next we place one influence board. Now let me show you up close one of those 3 influence boards. We place one influence board next to each of the 3 continents on the map. No matter which side of the board you're playing, there are going to be 3 continents. It's just that in the opposite side, some smaller islands, like in this case the 2 bigger islands, they compose one single continent. This is considered a single continent, this is another continent, and this here is the 3rd continent. So we take one of each of the 3 influence boards and we place it next to each of the continents, allowing some room for programming discs, meaning don't place it too close. There needs to be a place for programming tokens, so you can do something like that, more or less. Then you shuffle the city-state deck and randomly place one on each of the slots for each of those influence boards, like that. Let me show you here. There is a slot, and randomly you select one city-state and place it here. You're not going to be using the rest of the city-state cards. You can remove them out of the current game and use it in future games for variety. Then you place the direction marker, which is this arrow here, which is intended to be flipped and change direction in the course of the game, more on that later. We take it and we place it between the orange and green continent, and that's exactly here. And just to focus a bit on the coloring, what does it mean orange and what does it mean green? You see that this slot has two colors, both black and green, meaning it from here an order token can be applied either to this continent or that continent, but it cannot be applied on the orange continent. From a single color slot like this one, an order here, more on that later, can only be applied on the green continent. So this is a green continent in essence, this is the orange continent, and these two form the black continent. And there are three slots who have two colors. Okay, in each of the eras this is going to move. So for the first era starts here, the second era is going to move here, and the third era is going to move here. Then we take and place one unexplored token face down on each of the sacred site territories. These are these tokens here with the eye. They have different things, from getting resources bonuses all the way to having barbarians that you need to eliminate. And there are territories that have this sacred icon, as you can see here, sacred site icon. So in each of those you randomly place one of those tokens. These are exploration tokens that are going to be explored from the players, and there are more tokens that they are also set aside. Then we take the technology deck, which is this deck, it says technology on the back side. We shuffle it thoroughly and we reveal 5 cards, placing it one next to each other to create the offer of the technology cards. This is a technology market. Each player chooses a color and takes a player board, which is this one. They take a player screen. This for the yellow player, but for the red one it just has red banners, similarly. Okay. It again reminding you that it has the actions overview from the inside. They also take their order tokens. These tokens, they all have this icon from the back, and in this case these are the red. You can see it also from both sides, from the border and from the back color as well. There is a total of 13 tokens. There are some duplications, more on that later. Each player takes a set of their color together with their board, their other pieces for armies, settlements, resource markers, discs and cubes, all matching their own color. Then each player places 2 armies on each of the starting territories on every continent. As I said, these are the territories with this icon. There is one on each of the continents, so one in this continent, one in this continent, and one in that continent. And each player places 2 of their military armies. For example, 2 red here, 2 red there, and 2 red there, in the same starting territory. They can coexist in this area. 2 on each of the starting territories of every continent. Each player places their resource markers on the corresponding starting spot on the player board. Namely, you have here glory starting at 0, gold starting at 1, the same goes for ideas starting at 1, and then food and material start at 2. Okay, but you start with 0 glory, which primarily get from defeating armies. Each player is placing one of their discs on the starting space, as I said, on each of the pillars. Okay. They also place one of their discs for the turn order and for the VP track below, and they place one of their cubes on the starting space of each of the 3 influence boards, somehow like that. Then you shuffle the civilization deck and you give 2 for each player, that they place them nearby. Okay, and you put the rest next to the box. These are not visible to other players. Okay, and you haven't made your selection. You're going to make it for age 2. More on that later on. But for the moment, you can see and maybe have a heads up start planning strategy if you are deciding to go towards one or the other starting civilization 4, and it's going to go here once selected. And the second one is going to be removed from the game. But you're not going to get any more civilization cards through the course of the game. You can remove them and put them at the rest back in the box. Last thing you do is you shuffle the wonders deck, okay, with the wonders, and you just shuffle it and place it nearby. There is no market for wonders yet. They're going to become available later, not during the first age. So players won't be able to build them during the first stage, but you just shuffle the deck and place it nearby. Finally, you place the city improvement pieces near the map in reach of 4 players. Of course, you don't have to make this configuration unless you're having fun with city improvements like me. They just serve its purpose. There is a pool of improvements, 40 improvements in total, 8 for each of the different types, which each of the type is giving different bonuses to the players, settlement, and players' owner once built. More on that later. And this is the last step of the setup. We're ready to start the game. Gameplay. Ancient Empires is played out in 3 ages. The Stone Age, which is number 1, during which players can play as tribes. The Bronze Age, number 2, in which, in this age, players evolve from tribes into great civilizations. And the Iron Age, number 3, in which the civilizations can create the great wonders of the world, build them in the Third Age, and collect additional points. And the winner of the game is the player with the most victory points at the end of the third and last age, the Iron Age. Keep in mind though that each age consists of 2 rounds. So you're going to play 2 rounds for age 1, 2 more rounds for age 2, and final 2 rounds for age 3, for a total of 6 rounds. In each round, players will play and program order tokens. These are the order tokens that they're going to use. 13 of each, similar pool for each of the players. They're going to use these order tokens and place them into slots around the board, and later they're going to be revealed and played. The phases of each round are as follows. First, we have the planning phase, and then we have the resolution phase. I'm going to go in more detail for the phases. So let's start with the planning phase first for the first round of an age. In the planning phase, starting with the first player and going in order that it's indicated on the scoreboard over there, players place 1 face down order token from their pool. I have the order tokens visible, but you can imagine that these are not visible. You can keep them behind your player screen if you want to have them visible, or if they are in front of the eyes of your opponents, make sure not to show them what you have, especially for the second round of an age. Right. Or they shouldn't know what you're planning to do. That's the purpose. So you're going to, each player, with the player order indicated on the score track, they're going to select 1 order and place it on an empty order slot on the map. At the beginning of an age, the first round of each age, we're going to play 2, I remind you, each of these slots is empty. Okay, unless a player placed 1 already before you, meaning you go second or third. So let's say here the red player who's going to play first, they may decide to place an order token here. Okay, that means the gray player who's going to play next, they're going to also place a token, okay, somewhere where they want. And then it's turn for the yellow player to place 1 of their order tokens. And then going back to the black player, who's also going to place an order token in an empty slot. The rule is simple. You have to place it on an empty slot, meaning you cannot place it in a slot that is occupied from 1 of your own order tokens or from another player. These are already taken. Okay, so there are a total of 12 slots on the map board. 9 slots are colored with a single color, and 3 are colored with 2 colors in the middle. So this is both orange and black. This is both green and black. And across this is both green and orange. The rest have a single color. This is purely black, purely orange, etc. That's important because it dictates with which continent it links to and where you can apply your order later on. A total of 12, 9 with single color and 3 with dual colors. And according to its color and position on the map, every order slot lets you resolve actions in this continent, matching its color, which is going to be explained later during the resolution phase. Additionally, whenever you place an order token, so in this case the red was the first one to place an order token, they're going to place their order token, they're not going to reveal it or resolve it. This is going to happen in the second phase of the round, which is the resolution phase. But what happens is after you place your order token, you may resolve the neutral action attached to the order slot you selected. You resolve this action on the continent matching the slot, meaning, in this case, when the red player selected to place an order token here, we still don't know what it is. We're not going to find out until the resolution phase later on, the second phase of the round of the first age. But during the planning phase, the player may resolve the neutral bonus, let's say, action at this stage, not during resolution, now, and it's different. In this case, for example, it's having one attack point and to perform one attack. Okay, this has nothing to do with what you have selected. Of course, you may do synergies and you may boost your attacks for later on, but at you, this is something independent from your order. But you're going to get, once you place it here during the planning phase, the moment you put your first one, you're going to take this neutral bonus. When everybody has done placing one order, then you're going to continue placing order tokens. So again, the red one is going to place, selecting an open slot. Okay, by turn order, the gray is going to place, let's say they place here. Okay, then the yellow, and last the black, according to the turn order. Now, as you've seen, this was the second round that we placed an order token. The second, it's not a round, but you know, we place all the first one, then we place the second one, and then we place a third one, still with turn order, following the rules. So that means in a 4-player game, all 4 of the slots are going to be fully occupied around the board, okay, by having orders. Meaning after every player has placed 3 order tokens, you proceed to the resolution phase. Second phase of the first round. So this is a resolution phase, starting with the order token in the slot directly below the direction marker. This is the direction marker, the arrow. So starting with this slot here, and then following its arrow direction, we turn order tokens face up one by one. Every player resolves their actions on the respective order token, fully resolve an order token before flipping the next one, the next order token that is on the map, and you can always choose not to fully resolve an action or forfeit it completely. Meaning, we start in this resolution phase, we flip this one, okay? The white player is going to perform this specific action. I haven't explained what the actions or the orders mean. We'll do that later. They will execute this action, okay? Since this is a both green and orange colored slot, they can either apply this order token to the orange or to the green, because it's a dual color. Once this is finished, we flip the next one according to the direction of the order of the arrow. So the black player is flipping this one. They apply only here, they can apply it, this order token, and so on. And this happens until all of the order tokens are flipped one by one, following the direction of the arrow around, in this case clockwise, around the map, flipping them and resolving them according to the rules of the slot that they're in the continent they're linked to. Okay, so this is a full resolution phase for the first round of the age, in this case the first age. After all order tokens are flipped, have been flipped and resolved, we proceed to the second round of the age, in this case the first age. But be careful, do not return any order tokens placed on the map to your supply. Okay, and before we dive into the actions from the order tokens and how the second round of the age is resolved, let's clarify some initial things still. First, each action from an order token or a neutral action from an order token can only be resolved in the continent matching the color of the corresponding order slot. Meaning, in this case, we placed this action here for this order. We can only apply it in the green continent. Okay, and the same applies for the neutral. This neutral during planning phase, not during the resolution phase, is going to be executed in this continent specifically, which is linked to, based on their slot. The second thing to note is that if a slot has 2 colors, the action can be played out in either continent that matches a color on the slot. However, you cannot split the action to both continents. For example, if you can move two, you cannot move one army in this, if you place here to move, for example, let's play, I don't know, let's find this one. This is to move two. Okay, so let's say that this player has played this order token here. He cannot move one of the two armies in this continent and one of the movements in this continent. He has to decide to execute either fully here or fully here, even though it's a dual color. And the third and last one important note is that neutral actions are not resolved during the resolution phase. I mentioned it before, but it's very crucial. They're only resolved during planning phase, before we go to the resolution and flip and execute the orders from our tokens, etc. Order tokens and actions overview. Each player, as I mentioned, has an identical set of order tokens, meaning each player has the same actions available throughout the game, and every player has a total of 13 order tokens. We have 3 move tokens, 2 that have 2 movement points, and 1 like this one in front of me that has 3 movement points, for a total of 3 tokens with the move ability action. We have 1 explore action order, which is this one, which has movement plus the I for the explore, and you do both in either order. We have 2 grow tokens, 2 of those for growing your population and army. We have 2 attack tokens out of the 13. Okay, we'll explain how this works. We have 2 that produce the resource that they're linked to. This doesn't produce anything you want. If it is placed here, it will produce food. Okay, more on that later, linked with the resource, with the continent and territories. We also have to build one of 1 hammer and one of 2 hammers for building, and in era age 3, rounds 5 and 6, you can also build wonders. And we have 1 statecraft with a handshake, which you can do to select one of 3 options. More on that later. But this is the exact same set everybody has. Okay, order tokens allow you to play specific actions during the resolution phase, and some actions can be enhanced if you pay the required resource. For example, here you can grow 1 more person if you pay 1 food instead of just 1. You grow and add 2 population armies. So let's focus on explaining how the orders work. So this is a move type of order. You gain movement points equal to the arrow shown on the order token. In this case, you have 3 movement points. Okay. Keep in mind that this is also different if you have this one, which has 2 movement points, but they work the same way. Okay. Each movement point lets you move 1 army to an adjacent territory, and 2 territories are considered adjacent if they share a border. So for example, doing this one, moving here, it's an adjacent movement. The same if I move here, or even if I go here, etc. Okay, I always start from my starting area for each continent. Okay, but this is 1 movement, so I could do that. Keep in mind that you can break the movement, especially if you have more than 1. In this case, you have 3 movements. You can either apply it to the same unit or break it. Meaning, for example, this can come 1 here. I'm not exploring, just not to show you. And this can come 2, 3. If I had 3 movements, you need to be able to cross C lanes. More on that later. But what I'm trying to say is that you can split the movement points. That's the main point. And you see here also there is a food resource above a boat. Okay, this means that when you resolve a move action, you can pay 1 food to enhance this action with the ability to move also your armies across the sea. Meaning, in the example before, if I wanted to move 3, like doing 1 here, 2 here, okay, and perhaps I don't know. Let me say it was like that. Okay, so I do 1 here and 2 and 3. They move here across a sea. Okay, that means that I would be able to do it by paying 1 food, even though I moved 2. armies across sea, I only pay 1 food. But if I didn't pay 1 food, I wouldn't be able to move across sea. Okay, so keep that in mind when you execute your movement. If you pay for the enhanced ability, each movement point enables you to move an army across the sea, so you only pay 1 food. Your armies can never finish their movement on a sea territory, meaning on sea. Okay, so they only move across to adjacent land territory. So this is adjacent to that one, just across the sea. Right, so this is how move works. Let's move to the next one, which is explore, and it's a good example because here we have, by doing this exploration, the fact that I move here doesn't mean I automatically explore it. Okay, so I could be here from the previous movement example. Still, this is not explored. For me to be able to explore, I need to have programmed and played this token in the respective slot, of course, applying to the continent. This rule always applies. This is the explore. This action allows you to move and scout. You can choose in what order you resolve the move and the scout parts of this action. The move is very simple. You gain 1 movement point and resolve it like we've seen before. That's the arrow. The eye, the scout, is giving you the order that if you have at least 1 army in a territory with a face down unexplored token, this is a face down unexplored token, you're able to flip it. And depending on the token's fate, there are possible outcomes. So in theory, if I was here, in this scenario, I could have easily played here this one, and during execution, resolution, I would move this one and flip it. Or I could be already there, do some other movement, and then flip it because I have a standing army already there, and then I'm able to flip it. Now, the options here from flipping vary all the way from gaining, for example, in this case, materials, food, gold, ideas, and there is also 2 food, 2 materials, 1 gold, and 1 ideas, and 6 out of the explore tokens have the barbarian, okay, which stays there, and you need to remove it with an attack order. More on that later. So barbarians, if barbarians are revealed, nothing happens. So let me put it, let's say this was a barbarian. Okay, so there's not an automatic attack or anything, it just stays there, the barbarian. And the barbarian token stays on the token and blocks the sacred site. Players cannot score it. Meaning, if that was not blocked, you would be able to score it. If it's blocked by a barbarian, you will not be able to score it during scoring. And you can destroy barbarian tokens using an attack action, and if you do, you gain also 1 glory. I remind you, this is a glory, not a victory point. This is a glory, okay, tracked on your player board. You convert it to victory points, more on that later. Finally, you gain 1 victory point for each sacred site on this continent where you have at least 1 army. Okay, this is how the barbarians work. Now, another action is the grow order here. The grow order is very simple. You add 1 army from your supply. This is your supply outside. Okay, you have settlements and armies and all sorts of additional components, player color. With this order, you place 1 army from your supply to the starting territory and or any territory with one of your settlements, and you can spend 1 food to enhance this action to add an additional army for a total of 2. Okay, meaning if I'm like that, I can spend. If I don't have, let's say I played this order token here. Let's play it here, just not to avoid. No, I will play it. Let's play it here. Okay. So I would be able to add 1 army here. This is the starting territory. This is the starting territory for the continent, and this is the starting territory for the final continent. And if I pay 1 food by reducing it from my player board, okay, 1 value less, I will be able to add a second one. But I could also be adding, instead of the starting area, 2 settlement areas. If I have previously built, let's say here, okay, a settlement, when I perform this order of growing, it will apply to this continent. This is the rule always. I can select to place them either both here, or 1 here and 1 here. So in my starting territory and on any settlements that I have. Okay? And of course I need to pay 1 food to add the second one. Right. Next is the attack. The attack action is the one with the 2 swords. So essentially you gain 1 attack point, or 2 if you pay 1 material by spending it from your board. 1 material, you can do 2 attack points instead of 1. So in order to perform the attack, you need to do the following. You can spend the attack point to do the following. Attack an army, destroy 1 opponent army in a territory where you have at least 1 army. The opponent places their army back to their supply and gain 1 glory. Okay? Meaning if we were somehow like that, let's say, and I was playing an attack here, okay, in this continent, I would be able to spend 1 of my attack points to simply eliminate 1 army from a territory where I have at least 1 army myself. So I enable this army to eliminate the opponent army and remove it. And give it back to the player's supply, of course, obviously. By doing so, the opponent places their army back to their supply and you gain 1 glory. On your player board, 1 glory. So this game promotes attacking other players to gain glory to be able to convert it later to victory points. You can also decide to spend your attack point to attack a settlement. So let's say the red player was the one attacking. Okay, and let's say they are here. In the opponent yellow player's settlement presence, they can destroy 1 improvement in the opponent's settlement. This settlement does not have improvements, but imagine that there was also an improvement here. Okay, but only the red player can utilize attack points to destroy settlements, improvements from opponent's settlements, but only if that opponent does not have an army in that territory. Meaning, if the yellow had an army here, the red player cannot attack the improvement. They have to attack, if they want to, the yellow army. Okay, they cannot go and directly attack the white improvement. If they want to attack the improvement, there needs to be no army of that opponent. Okay, and be able to attack it. Keep in mind that if that opponent doesn't have an army and the attack proceeds, this is the only way you destroy improvements and remove it from the opponent. Okay, you destroy their improvements, but not, I emphasize, not base building of a settlement. Meaning you cannot remove the settlement once built, only if it has improvements by attacking. Then of course you gain 1 glory, again not victory point, glory, on your player board, and the bonus that the destroyed improvement gives you when built. For example, if you destroy a library, you would gain an idea, which is the same that you would gain if you build a library improvement in your settlement. And the third and last option is to attack barbarians. So for example, the yellow player, if they played an attack order, they can use 1 of their attack points, or a single one if they don't pay, they don't have more than 1, to attack a barbarian in their territory. Destroy 1 barbarian token on a territory where you have at least 1 army, and you gain 1 glory again and 1 victory point. And you remove, of course, the barbarian token, and now, in this case, the sacred site is available for you to score it later on. Okay, which is the ultimate goal. That's why you want to do it, but also because you gain 1 glory and 1 victory point. Don't underestimate accumulation of glory points. Right. So that's the second order, the attack. The third order, the attack. The fourth order, the attack. And let's see the next order, which is the produce, which has the scythe. You gain food, material, or gold for each resource producing territory on the continent where you have at least 1 army. A resource producing territory is a territory that contains a resource icon. If you don't have armies in resource production territories, you gain nothing. Meaning, in this example, if the yellow player played the gather, for this order they would gain 1 food, meaning, just to show you here, they would gain 1 food, okay? Because they have an army on a resource icon. If they also had another army here, they would also gain a 2nd food, so they would gain a total 2 food. And if, let's say, they had also an army here, okay, they would gain 1 material as well. So they would gain 1 resource for each territory, resource producing territory, which has an icon that has at least 1 army of your color. A resource producing territory that contains resource icons. If they don't contain anything, so for example here, they wouldn't gain anything. There's no resource icon here. Okay, cool. Right. Then the build action, which is this one, either 1 hammer or 2 hammer for 2 build points. So if a player has selected the build order, they will be able to choose one of the following. Either build a settlement. So to build a settlement, let's say in this area, because we played the build here, you remove 2 armies from a single territory. So you need to have 2 armies present on a territory. Let's say here, in this territory, have 2 armies. So you remove 2 armies from a single territory and pay 1, 2, or 3 materials equal to the number of the current age. So if this is age 1, rounds 1 and 2, you pay 1 material. If it's age 3, rounds 5 and 6, you pay 3 material. Okay? Equal to the number of the current age. And place a settlement to that territory. So you remove the 2 army and you place your settlement. This goes back into your supply. Don't worry, no one can destroy your settlement. They can only destroy improvements after you build them on the settlement, not the settlement base building itself. You cannot build a settlement in a territory that already contains a settlement, so this cannot be allowed. If the black player had 2 armies here, they cannot build a settlement there because there is a settlement. You cannot build a settlement on the starting territory, so this starting territory or this starting territory is not eligible for building settlements. And when you build your first settlement in the game, you place the capital token next to it, indicating that this is your capital. Okay? The first settlement you build. Additionally, after you build a settlement, you gain 1 idea on your board, plus 1 influence on the continent where you build the settlement, meaning here. We'll explain influence later, how it works, okay? But this is the influence linked with this continent. If you don't decide to build a settlement for the building point, you can decide to improve a settlement. For example, because maybe you have the opportunity to both build a settlement somewhere else. Let's say here I had 2 armies, I could build a settlement here, or instead build an improvement here on an existing settlement on the continent that the order aligns to. You spend 2 materials, 2 of those, and then you choose one of the available improvements for that settlement. Depending on what you choose, you gain a bonus. Okay, and here is the summary of the improvements and the bonuses you get. I'm not going to focus, but as we said in the example, if you build a library, you gain 1 idea. Okay, so that's how it works. If you build a market, you gain either 1 food or 1 material. If you build a fort, you gain 1 army, and so on and so on. Okay, and you place, of course, the corresponding improvement next to your settlement. Okay, as an addition, an add-on next to it. In any case, you cannot have a second settlement on that territory, so any improvements there belong to the yellow settlement for sure. Another third option is you can build a wonder. Keep in mind that wonders are not available. You're going to have a market of wonders later on, only possible during the 3rd and last age of the game, meaning rounds 5 and 6. You will pick up a card from the wonder display, spend the resources shown on the wonder card, and build it. You draw the top card from the deck to replenish the wonder market, and you do not score the wonder immediately. They are scored at the end of the game. But they do give you progress on pillars, as you can see also as well. This is the cost that they have. And this is how they score. More on that later. But it's an interesting thing. But only they're going to be visible during age 2. But then you're not going to be able to build them, so you can plan around them and prepare materials, etc. But you're going to not be able to build until age 3, rounds 5 and 6, that is. Right. Last order is the statecraft, which is a more, let's say, complex or flexible one, because it gives you 3 options. You can invent, gain one idea, or spend ideas to gain technology cards from the technology market, which is up here. You know, the 5 cards that I showed you before. So either you gain an idea, or you spend ideas to gain one of the technology cards from the technology market. Each technology card costs an amount of ideas depending on how many you already have acquired. If it is your first and second technology cards, this costs 1 ideas. If it is your third or fourth technology card, it costs 2 ideas. And if it's your 5th technology card and beyond, it costs 3 ideas. You can gain more than 1 technology as part of the invent action, meaning you can spend more ideas to gain a total of, I don't know, 2 actions, 2 inventions, technology cards. But you need to have sufficient ideas to pay for them, okay? Keep in mind that you have 5 technology slots on your player board, and after filling up 5 slots, you can invent more technology cards, but you first need to discard one of your previous technology cards, and all technology cards beyond the 5th one cost 3 ideas. So the 5 slots are here, 1, 2, those cost 1 idea each, 3, 4, and 5. These are the 5 slots for your technologies, which is the maximum you can carry. You can gain more, but you need to discard one of the 5 that you already have to place it on your player board. When you gain technology, you raise your market on you raise your markers on the appropriate pillar tracks, and you gain any bonuses if you pass the thresholds on the market on the pillar tracks. Let's say, for example, it's the yellow player, and this, forget about the rest. Let's say this was their first technology, astrology. You see they have 2 indications here. Okay, so they're going to go to the respective pillar board, and for each of those, progress 1 on the corresponding, the card showed those 2 pillars, and you progress on those 2 pillars. If by going up those pillars you cross over bonuses, you're going to receive the bonuses for crossing the pillars. Now, instead of invent, you can decide with your statecraft order token to perform a trade. You gain one of the available bonus actions from the current or earlier age that the city-state on this continent provides, and afterwards, after doing that, you advance 1 step on the pillar track based on the city-state healer's symbol. Let me show you this one. That means you can gain, if it is age 1, we will be able to gain 1 army. If it is age 2, we can either decide to gain 2 victory points or 1 army. If it is age 3, we can gain 1 army and 2 victory points. Okay, but we can select either this or any of the previous ones. Okay, this is the best one, obviously, here, which is what you want to do. And in addition, you gain the advancement on this pillar. Because you did trade with this city-state. So summarizing, you can either do invent for technologies, trade with the use of this one, or diplomacy, again with the use of this one. Has 3 uses. Either of those 3 are available. So if you do diplomacy, you simply advance your marker 1 step on the influence board of this continent, and you gain any bonuses if your marker lands on a space with an icon. In this case, a gold, for example. Okay? So, a word about the neutral actions now. So, neutral actions. Move. Gain 1 movement point to move one of your armies of this continent. You can spend 1 foot to move across the sea as well. This is the attack neutral action. Gain 1 attack point to destroy one opponent army. Improvement if that opponent doesn't have an army there, or barbarian token in a territory where you have at least one army. Grow. Add one army from your supply to the starting territory of a territory of the continent you got this neutral action from, or from a settlement in this current continent as well. And the last one is the grow, the produce, which is choose one resource producing territory from this continent where you have at least one army and gain that resource. Okay? The third phase of the first round is a simple end of round phase, where after resolving the last of the order tokens during the resolution phase, if this is the end of the first round, you flip the direction marker to point in a counterclockwise direction, which is meaning from here you just flip it to show the other direction. And then we proceed with the second round of the age, meaning the second turn of the second round from the first age. 2 out of 6 total, the second of the first age. Second round of an age. The second round of an age, in this case age 1, is almost identical to the first round with the following changes. First, the planning phase. When you place order tokens face down during this phase, you can place order tokens either on empty slots or above already played face up tokens from the previous round. You would be able to place on empty slots if you're playing a game of 3 or 2 players, for example, where there would be some slots available, not used from all players. But if you're playing a 4-player game, everything's going to be full from the first round. In any case, the rule is the same. You can place order tokens either on empty slots or above already played face-up tokens from the previous round. You cannot place your orders above an already placed face-down token this round. Meaning, we're going to, let's say, continue with the orders, and let's say the yellow player is placing this one here, and the second one to place covering the face-up of the previous round from the red. They want to go after, let's say it was the white player. They can either place it on an empty, if we're playing less than 4 players, or on one that has already one face-up token and cover it, but they cannot go and be the third token, placing it on top of a face-down token from a player that placed previously in this placing planning phase. Okay, so that's the rule. So this is going to continue in the same way, meaning every player is going to place order tokens, okay, in the second round of the age. Keep in mind that neutral actions are still triggered upon token placement, meaning when the yellow placed here, they got a free movement, and because it's a dual color, they can either apply to the orange one or the black one. Okay, but the yellow, when the white one, when they placed here, they get a neutral action during planning phase, which is an attack, but they can only apply it on this continent here, the black continent. And after every player has placed 2 order tokens, you proceed to the resolution phase. During the resolution phase, so let's fast forward, everybody placing 2. We go with the resolution phase. During the resolution phase of the second round of an age, order tokens are now flipped and resolved in the direction of the direction marker, which shows an opposite direction, going counterclockwise, as you see the arrow, from the previous round. If there are 2 order tokens in one order slot, resolve both. First, flip the order token on the top, the one placed this round, and resolve it, and afterwards resolve the order token below it. This means that tokens played in the first round will be resolved again during the second round. Okay, so we're going to resolve this one, then here we have 2 tokens, we're going to flip it, resolve this one, and then that one we was placed in the previous one, and this is going to continue happening. First this one, then the one below, first this one, then the one below, again this one, then flip and resolve the top and then the bottom, flip, resolve the top and then the bottom, top, again the bottom, same, top, and then the red, the bottom, and then the black, and then the white below. Resolve this one and resolve that one, okay, around the board. Again, when there are 2 order tokens in one slot, we follow the flow of resolving those in this fashion. Okay, first flip, resolve the top, and then the one below from the previous round. Then, after the resolution phase is completed, we gain continent and island points. This happens only in the second round of an age. We follow the direction marker and check which player controls the most territories on each continent. So first for this one, then for that one, and then for this one. Each army and settlement provide one power in terms of power for controlling the territory. If two or more players are tied for having the most power in a territory, no one controls the territory. The player that controls the most territories on a continent gains the first continent bonus, which is here, 3 victory points. Okay? The player that controls the second most territories on the continent gains the second bonus, in this case 1. And this varies. For this continent here, the first one gains 2 and the second 1. For the smaller part of the continent, and here 3 and 1. Okay? For the larger part of the continent. So this goes around with the order of the arrow, okay, checking each continent, seeing who has the most territories, and awarding the first and second bonus for having the most or second most territories on a continent. If more players tied for most continents, they gain the total of both bonuses divided evenly among them, round down. Now, islands. Some territories are surrounded by sea territories and are isolated from the mainland, and you see more of that in the back of this main board. And they are surrounded by sea, okay, territories, and are isolated from the mainland mass of their continent. These groups are considered islands, and they can be identified by the fact that they have their own victory point bonuses. Okay, so this continent has 2 islands. Okay, and there are more islands on the back side of the board, which is also good to have more replayability. That means these groups are considered islands. They can have identified by the fact that they have their own victory point bonuses, as said, and their territories are still considered as part of the overall continent of the same color. City-states majority, which is the second one that we do. Following the direction again of the marker, starting from this one, check which player has placed the most order tokens in the slots of each continent. And we're talking about having the most white for the white player in this continent, the most red in this continent, okay, etc. Order tokens placed in both rounds of the age count towards this, and that player places one of their discs on the city-state card of that continent and advances on pillar tracks matching the color symbols of that city-state. So let's say in this case we have 1, 2 white, 1 yellow, 3 red, and 1 black for the green continent. That means that the red one is has placed more orders on this continent, so they're going to take one of their discs and place it on top. I don't know if you see it, here is the city-state for this continent. So they're going to place 1 disc on that city-state and gain 1 progress on this pillar by doing so. Okay? Order tokens that were placed, of course, in slots between that have 2 colors, they count for both continents. If 2 or more players are tied for having the most orders in a continent, all tied players are awarded the above. So, the civilization end of an age effect, age 2 and 3. If player orders, okay, that happens at, as I said, this is a progress that happens at the end of each age. Okay, so what I'm saying, the island, the gain continent and island points, the islands and the city-state majority that I just mentioned are part of the age end. At age 1 will happen, at age 2 will happen, 4 round, and age 3 will happen, 6 round. So the third step of the age end is the civilization end age effect, age 2 and 3. In player order, every player resolves the end of age effect of their civilization. Meaning, in the first you will not have selected, but in the second and third you will have already selected a single civilization. Okay, and in player order, every player will resolve the end of age effect of their own civilization card. If this is the end of Iron Age, age 3, you proceed then directly to game end. Then you advance the direction marker, take the direction marker, flip it. So from there we're going to flip it to that and move it to the next 2 colored slot on the board clockwise, meaning here. Okay. Then we rearrange the turn order on the scoreboard. For the next range, we arrange the turn order based on the score in reverse order according to the victory points. The player with the least amount of points goes first, and the one with the most goes last. If players are tied for points, then the order does not change relative to each other. And then we return all order tokens back to the player's supply, so they start the next age with a full complement of 13 order tokens behind their screen. Special end of age phases. So this is just to highlight that becoming a civilization at the end of age 1, I remind you that you need to pick up the 2 civilization cards that you have, select only one, reveal it, okay, and put it above your player board, slot it in the slot, and then your tribe now becomes more powerful, and you return any unused civilization cards back to the box. Then at the end of age 1, you also reveal wonders. You shuffle the wonder deck and reveal 5 wonders, creating a market for wonders, like we have for technologies. Still not available to be built during age 2, but they're inside the public information for every player to plan ahead for age 3, where you can build them. And the third step is wonder becomes available for construction. Those wonders are, if it's the end of age 2, the wonder cards now are that they were revealed at the end of Stone Age become available to be built, and when you resolve the build action during age 3, you can have more than one options. Instead of building, for example, a settlement or improvement, you can now also choose instead to build a wonder. You pay the resources cost shown on the top right corner that I showed you before. You place the card in front of you and you immediately advance on the pillar tracks that match the pillar symbols on the constructed wonder. For example, 2 here and 1 here. Okay. In this case, if this is the wonder that I built. Wonder score victory points at the end of the game. Now, game end. After the Iron Age, age 3, the game ends and we calculate the final scoring. First, we have the wonders. We gain victory points from our build wonder cards as described on the wonder cards themselves. Second, settlements. We gain victory points for each settlement depending on the level. And here is again how you see the level of the settlement. Okay, that means it's settlements score victory points for each for their level. If it is a hamlet level 1, you have 1 victory point. If it is a village level 2, you score 3 victory points. If it's a town level 3, 5 victory points. And if it's a city level 4, 7 victory points. And your metropolis level 5 scores 10 victory points as described here behind your player screen. Okay, so the more you develop your settlements, the higher the level, the more victory points they will award at the end of the game. That's why also they're target for your opponent's attacks, because they're trying to remove victory points from you if you progress. Then the third, ideas and gold. You gain 1 victory point for each gold and idea remaining. Gold and idea remaining on your personal tracking board. You gain 1 victory point for each glory remaining on your player board. Then for city-states, 2 victory points for each disc you have placed. Remember before, for having the most orders, at the end of the age we place 1 disc from the red player. So for each disc you have on a city-state, you gain 2 victory points. If players are tied, each player receives 1 victory point. And finally, the final influence. So let's focus here on the influence. So let's say we have something like that. Okay. So you gain, for each continent, you count the total number of territories you control there. Then you multiply that number by the influence, which is the flag you have in that continent, and these are your influence points. Island territories are counted the same as regular territories. You gain victory points equal to your total influence points. Okay. So for example, if I have the yellow player, if they own, they control 3 territories in this continent, they will gain 3 times 3, 9 victory points, which is really cool. Finally, the player with the highest number of points is the winner and ascends to become the eternal ruler of the ancient empires. Now, some quick additional rules and concepts. First of all, the pillars. The pillars boards mark achievements of your civilization, separating into categories. We have from left to right military with this icon. Then we have commerce, engineering, culture, and science with the blue icon. Whenever you gain technology, become a civilization, trade with a city, or build a wonder, you will move your markers on the pillars board. In short, whenever you acquire a card that has any pillar symbols, you advance on the matching pillar. Each time your markers surpass the threshold, you gain the respective bonus immediately. This can vary from, example, gaining 1 army, to gaining 1 attack point, to gaining 1 gold. Okay, everything is explained in the rulebook, so I'm not going to spend more time to show you or tell you what these icons do. You want to surpass them and gain the bonuses, obviously. Civilizations. At the beginning of the game, you do not represent any civilization, you're just a tribe. During the setup, every player gets 2 civilization cards randomly. As I said, they look like that, remember? They are meant to guide you on your early turns towards greater game plan. Civilization cards do not come into play until the end of Stone Age, Age 1, and civilization cards have 3 types of effects, gaining it from top to bottom and moving down. First is the immediate, which is here, the top one. There are come into play effects that must be resolved when you select this civilization and slot it, that you decide that you go with, for example, in this case, Egypt. Then there are the ongoing, which are in the middle area here. Ongoing, these effects passively apply benefits that trigger from various conditions on the rest of the game for an ability you have moving forward. And then at the bottom, end of an age. These effects trigger at the end of an age. They reward you with influence and glory if you fulfill their conditions, of course. And this is the bottom part of these 3 levels. Next, we have the city-states. City-states are represented by cards, and each continent has space for 1 city-state. Each city-state offers benefits that you will get if you use a trade action with statecraft order token to interact with it. These benefits can be free resources or even free actions depending on the current age, and city-states offer benefits from the current age as well as previous ages. And additionally, trading will always progress your marker on the pillar track matching the city-state icon, in this case Sparta for military. A quick word on wonders. Wonders are the marvelous achievements of civilizations that stand the test of time, and in this game they are represented by wonder cards. The wonders must first be revealed at the end of Stone Age, but are not able to be built until the Iron Age, and during the Iron Age, then resolving the build action token, players can choose to build a wonder. When you build a wonder, immediately advance a pillar tracks and the matching symbols of the wonder, and at the end of your turn you draw a new wonder to fill in the spot of the wonder display and have the same number of wonders available for the rest. At the end of the game you score victory points according to your specific wonders and how they score victory points on the card. This is described there. Technologies are advancements that your civilization has discovered. They have ongoing effects that modify your gameplay, and if a technology effect is in contradiction with what the rules are indicating, of course the card takes a priority. Technologies apply their effects the moment that you gain them, meaning that you can take advantage of their effects on the same turn you acquire them already, and technologies always progress your markers on 2 pillar tracks when you gain them. Last but not least, the improvements. You can build improvements in your existing settlements, and each settlement has a maximum of 4 improvements that you can have, and only 1 of each type improvement. You cannot have duplicates. When you build an improvement, you take the piece matching the type from the general supply and place it next to one of your settlements, then you immediately gain its bonus. Improvements are limited by the number of pieces for each type, and you cannot build a specific improvement type if there are no more available pieces of that type in the general supply. Just to briefly mention, if you build an obelisk, you gain 1 glory. If you build a library, you gain 1 idea. If you build a port, you gain 1 gold. If you build a fort, you gain 1 military troop, 1 army. If you build a market, you either gain 1 food or 1 material. Territories. The map is made up of a number of territories which are grouped into 3 continents. A territory is a piece of the map which is defined by its borders and depicted with the white lines. 2 territories are considered adjacent if they have a shared border. There are a few types of territories. We have the starting territory, which has this icon here that you can see. All players start the game with 2 armies in each starting territory. You cannot build settlements there. You have the sacred site territories, which are this icon here, and at the start of the game you place an exploration token on each of those. These are spiritual and religious important locations. They start the game with a face-down unexplored token on them, and they are relevant to some civilization technology effects. So for resource-producing technologies, we have an icon printed on them, like this one. If you have a standing army there, they provide their respective resource when you play out the produce action. And we have sea territories with the blue color, separating land masses. They are not part of any continent. And what about resources? There are 5 types of resources in the game. We have food, which is spent to enhance your grow action and move actions. We have material, which is spent to build settlements and improvements and to enhance your attack actions. We have gold, which is a wild resource that can be spent instead of food and materials. However, it requires gold specifically. You must pay with gold. You have ideas. The ideas are used to acquire new technology cards during the event action, part of the statecraft order token. And then you have the glory, which is a unique type of resource that you gain from attacking other players. We'll discuss a bit more about the glory at the end of this rule set, and this is also counted here. Resources are tracked on the resource board of your player board, and each resource has a marker that matches this icon. During setup, you place it where it says. During the highlighted spot, it's a starting spot. And each time you gain or lose resources, you move them up or down respectively. The resource track has 5 spaces that can hold not more than 5 resources. This is the upper limit. You cannot gain more. The only exception to this is glory. And let's see how glory works. The glory in the game is marked with the player resource track board. When you remove opponent's armies, improvements, or barbarian tokens from the map, you gain 1 glory. Additionally, you gain glory from building obelisks specifically. Let me show you the obelisk. This is the improvement of giving you glory. When your glory marker reaches the 5th space of the player resource track, so here, you immediately gain 3 victory points and 1 bonus from the first row of spaces of the pillar track, meaning this row here. You can select any of the first row of bonuses. After doing so, you reset the glory marker to go back to 0, and you can start gaining more glory again. At the end of the game, each remaining glory that you have, let's say you had 3, you're going to convert it to victory points on 1-to-1, meaning you're going to gain 3 victory points for 3 glory at the end of the game. So this is how glory works. So there you have it. Now you know everything that there is about ancient empires. I haven't covered the solo rules. I'm going to make a separate solo playthrough if you're interested in that. So thanks for watching, and let's meet right back up for my final first impressions from the game. So there you have it. This is in a nutshell, or I should say in a more detailed nutshell, how the game Ancient Empires plays. And hands down, really enjoyed this game. I found it very true to its purpose, and its true purpose, its identity for me. It's obvious. It's a 4X game without overstaying its welcome, with simple and streamlined rules, easy to get behind, easy to understand, easy to follow and to execute them and enjoy the gameplay. But on the same time, it doesn't take ages for the game to play. It gives you, for the time that it lasts, a very well honest dose of 4X, if I would describe it like that. A very honest dose of 4X if you are in the appetite of 4X games like me. But don't get fooled. Don't think that this game, because it's not epic in terms of duration, it's not epic in terms of table presence, it doesn't have a ton of miniatures like other games there, it's lacking in any of the tick boxes of a given 4X. It has a really nice exploration, fast and quick. It has a continuous contest about grabbing easily from each other areas for area majority purposes. It has a tech development with the tech cards that you take, and you adjust and you become better with the tech cards that you add to your player board and get the different abilities. It has different ways to pursue points, either from pure majority, either from building up your settlements, and adding improvements to them, which can score a lot of points at the end of the game, with getting a lot of specific focus on a continent and get more areas controlled by the player, and increase the influence with this city-state and this continent, so that you can multiply that and get a lot of victory points at the end. You can get victory points from specific wonders. You can also gain victory points from your specific civilization card. You also have the bonuses of the pillars, which is a very nice, so simple but so rewarding and satisfying mechanism, where you get bumps on different pillars, culture, military, science, etc., based on the cards you acquire from technology, based on the trade that you do with diplomacy you do with different city-states, etc. And all this works simply well. A lot of player interaction, fast rules, fast turns. The cherry on the top of the cake for me, for this game, besides the obvious, which is the very decent duration, and the small box, the compact box, the ability to be played all the way to 4 players. If this goes all the way to 5 with some expansion, which I don't know anything about, this will be, firing in all cylinders, in my opinion, because it will have solo, it will have a small box, it will be portable, it will give all the feeling of a 4X game, and it will last just enough, 1 to 2 hours. But the cherry on the top, coming back to the cherry because I'm diverting, the cherry on the top for me is the action programming system. It's brilliant. You just place a token with your order, what you're going to do on an hidden on a slot around the main board, and some slots can either be selected, have 2 colors, so they can be played for any of the 2 adjacent continents, but others mainly for the continent of the color they're placed on. You get the bonus action immediately during the planning phase, and then during the execution phase, you just go by the order of the arrow, clockwise and then anti-clockwise, and then you reveal them and execute them. So when you see activity, you don't know what the person is going to do there. I mean, everybody has more or less presence in everywhere by the middle of the game. But when you see someone putting a lot of orders on a continent, then you get suspicious. And if you have investment in that continent with a lot of settlements that have a lot of improvements, and he can attack your improvements and decrease the number of victory points you're going to gain, and for which you really put sweat and blood there to build them, by gathering resources. You have to react, right? So fast, simple player interaction. The combat is very simple. That's another thing I like in this game. You just create an attack opportunity by putting an attack order, and then when you have if you have presence with the opponent, you just simply remove for each attack point 1 of the enemies. No funky fiddle battle system, straightforward, fast, so it doesn't add to the duration of the game. Okay, but also it's not the it's not the only way to go, like in all 4X games. You can go with military power, with control, etc., because also the game promotes attacking, or going against your opponents, because you gain glory points, and then you can multiply the glory points, convert them to victory points, and. So, in summary, this game truly, honestly delivers a very honest and generous 4X dose, feeling, appetite, how you want to call it, in a very, very satisfying way, hitting and ticking all checkboxes for me. So knowing Arcona Games, they're also going to offer a lot of add-ons and visual improvements and things to be added in the campaign based on the success of the campaign, which is for me guaranteed. The game really deserves all the success. So thanks for joining. Hope you gave you a very good understanding of how the game plays. If you want to see how the game plays as a solo, which is very interesting, join me on the third video, where I'm going to focus on the solo and record a solo playthrough for you to see how the game plays also as a solo. So many thanks for watching.